Every day means every day. My name is Brandon Burns, and in this video, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you knew somebody who they had that X factor about them? Like you just knew that they had so much raw, untapped potential. You knew that every time you get around them, you're like, man, this person should be so much further ahead in life than they are. That could mean financially, that could mean notoriety. That could mean success. It could mean something more internal, more personal, their own personal development, spiritual development, their own internal sense of confidence. But in some way, shape, or form, you get around these individuals, and we might be talking about you. I don't know. You have to self assess. But you get around these individuals and you say, you should be further along in life than you are right now. You have so much potential, but you seem to me to be falling short. You ever wonder why does that happen? How do people with so much talent, with so much ability, with so much capacity to be great, how do these people end up stumbling and falling short of their potential? How do they do it repeatedly year after year after year? How do they read books? How do they attend the seminars? How do they take the courses? How do they develop themselves and work on improving themselves, and yet somehow, some way, nothing changes? And the answer that I'd like to propose to you is that generally with people like that fall into that category that could be, should be, and were created to be more than they really are in this moment, usually the challenge is their work ethic is predicated on a promise. And by predicated on a promise, what I mean is that in order for that person to give the full input of what they should be giving to something, what they should be putting into something in order to see success, they need a guaranteed output. So their work ethic is actually predicated on a result or an outcome, not based on a character trait or an identity. See, that's not actually work ethic, in my opinion. I don't think that work ethic actually is work ethic unless it is constant. If your work ethic is variable, it's not really work ethic. Let me explain. If I give you a mathematical formula and a mathematical equation, and I say, listen, if you do X, Y, and Z, you will then receive guaranteed ABC. You see this in fitness. Somebody comes to me, they're overweight, they're out of shape, and I can say, listen, if you follow this diet and you do this workout routine, barring some anomaly in your physiology, which by the way is incredibly rare, people over-index on that. 90% of Earth's population, if you eat right and you exercise right, you'll lose weight and you'll tone up and you'll get a better physique. That's neither here nor there. But I'm just saying, barring any sort of anomaly in your physiology, if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to get A, B, and C. And then they go and do that. I wouldn't necessarily call that work ethic. You say, B, what are you talking about? They're working their butts off in the gym. They're making difficult decisions with their diet. Why would you say that that's not work ethic? That's not work ethic because it's not permanent. It's not a part of their essence. It's not part of their identity. It's not who they are. They just saw an equation and said, this price makes sense to me. It's no different than you go into the gas station and you walk in and you see a smoothie that you want and they say it's $4. And in your mind, you do the math and you say, that's worth $4 to me. It doesn't mean that just as a human being, you're just willy-nilly with the $4. It doesn't mean that you're a reckless spender. What it means is that in that particular environment or circumstance, situation, and scenario, you made the determination consciously that that smoothie was worth the $4. In our fitness scenario here, you just made the determination consciously that that outcome and that result and that health and that physique and that energy and that confidence was worth the work that you would have to put in. Now, I think that's a good decision, but I don't think that's work ethic. I don't think that's the same thing, man. I don't think that I don't think that anything that is variable can be considered a character trait. See, character is about your essence. It's about your being. Character is not supposed to change based on what room you find yourself in or what circumstances you find yourself surrounded by. If you work hard in one environment but not in another, if you work hard for one goal but not another, it just means that you value that goal more highly. It means that you value that environment more favorably. But it doesn't mean that that's who you actually are. See, that's why I took every day means every day and I began applying it to content because I don't enjoy this as much as I enjoy working out. Now, I love doing this, but I'm not as much of a content guy. Like I'm old fashioned. Now you want to do a podcast, you want to do an interview, you want to do a speaking engagement, you want to do a round table, like I'm there. But this kind of stuff is harder for me, right? But the reason that I wanted to do it was A, because I felt like it would bless some people, but B, I need to know that this everyday means everyday mentality, this consistency, this work ethic, this drive, this discipline is not isolated to one minuscule aspect of life, being my fitness. I need to know that this is a part of my character. I need to know that this is who I am, not just what I do. And so, again, I'm telling you, if you have somebody in your life, and again, maybe it's you, I don't know. But if you have somebody in your life and they constantly are underperforming compared to the potential and the capacity that you know that they possess, my guess is that their work ethic is predicated on a promise. You promise me this, I'll work this hard for you. This is why most people can't be entrepreneurs, by the way, because being an entrepreneur requires you to outwork everybody else to the point where it is no longer rational and sensible to do, with zero promise or guarantee of reward or compensation for that effort that you put in. That's why most people can't do it. But I would argue that the greats in anything, sports, business, whatever you want to look at in life, the greats, they don't need a carrot to chase. They don't need you to dangle something in front of them to be great. The reason they're great is because they hold themselves to a standard, and they don't need any other reason than that. By the way, their standard, not yours, not your standard. They could care less if you're watching. See, this is what happens. People get around these folks and they say, man, you're so hardworking whenever I see you. Yeah, you can make anything look good in the light, but that's not what you get paid for. That's not what you get results for. You get results from what you do in the dark that nobody sees. And when you can get to a point where you can work just as hard as in the dark, and you do as you do in the light, I promise you, it's going to change your entire life. Do not allow any aspect of your character to be predicated on a promise, because then it's not really you. It's fake. It's not really who you are. And I think that authenticity is one of the highest virtues possible. But in order to be authentic, you have to be the same yesterday as today as tomorrow. There's a good book that talks about somebody who was like that. You should go read it sometime. My name is Brandon Burns. I hope you enjoyed this. If this gave you value, share this with somebody who needs it. Make sure you subscribe and drop a comment below. Until next time, don't forget, every day means every day.